Hey everyone, you're watching JavaScript for Beginners lesson 15. As you can see, we just got our empty JavaScript file. Now let's move on to the HTML file and check what we have. We do have a simple heading followed by the paragraph with a class paragraph and a simple unordered list. Now let's move on to the JavaScript file and let's simply log the document and let's see what we get. As you can see, we just got the entire document, which is nothing but the entire website as it is. It's just the local host which is mentioned over here. Now let's try to select element on the website by using a method called as query selector. We can do that in this way. Let's simply log this as well. Document dot query selector. Now let's simply use P, which stands for paragraph. As you can see here, we just got the output P, which is nothing but the paragraph with a class paragraph. As we hover over this, we can clearly see that this paragraph is selected. Now let's try to simply select unordered list. Instead of P, let's simply say UL. So we just got our unordered list selected. It's not that we should only use query selector in order to select an element. We can also simply use get element by ID, get element by class, and get element by tag name. Let's simply try everything. Class, ID, and tag name. Now let's simply log this as well. Document dot get element by ID. Now let's simply move on to the HTML file. As you can see here, we just got an ID heading. Now let's simply use that over here. Heading. And now let's see what we get. So we just got the H1 which has an ID heading. Now let's simply use this and try this with class name. Instead of get element by ID, get element by class name. Instead of heading, we have to use paragraph, which we have mentioned on the HTML file over here. So we just got the output paragraph selected through the get element by class name method. Now let's simply use the last one, which is nothing but the get element by tag name, which simply selects the element based on the tag. It's just as same as this one. So we again got the HTML collection with a paragraph element. So these are the three ways to select the HTML elements on the website using JavaScript. Now let's simply turn our attention to notes. Before that, let's simply comment this out. Notes. As I mentioned in the previous video, every element on the page is classified into different nodes, which is nothing but the parent node followed by children node. Now let's simply use the variable and followed by a tag name method and let's select a paragraph. Let para is equal to document dot get element by tag name, and now let's simply select the paragraph and let's select the first paragraph. And before selecting the first paragraph, let me just add one more paragraph in the HTML, just in case. So we just got our two paragraphs and we have selected the first paragraph based on the index. Now let's simply log this para dot and let's use the method parent node. As you can see here, we just got the output body, which means that the parent element of this child node is body. So inside the body tag, we have placed our paragraphs so that we just got the output body. Now let's simply use the another method, which is nothing but the next sibling method, which simply gives us the output of next nearest element placed after this paragraph, which is again the another paragraph which is placed after this element. And we do have one more method, which is nothing but the So we do have one more element, one more method, which is nothing but the previous element sibling, which simply gives us the previous element. In this case, it's just the heading, which is nothing but this particular h1. So these are the three methods which we can use on the nodes in order to access the element on the DOM. Last but not the least, manipulating styles. So what exactly are manipulating styles? Let me just comment this out as well. Now let's simply use this line of code, and now let's simply target the paragraph and let's change the color. So instead of accessing by one particular index, let's simply access all the paragraph by using the for loop. Const element, instead of object, let's simply say para, and now let's change the style of the paragraph, and we can do this in this way. Element, which we have mentioned over here, followed by the style dot color, and we have to simply use the equal to assignment operator followed by the color name in the quotes. So as you can see here, we just change the color using the JavaScript. So this is how we manipulate the styles in JavaScript. All we have to do is select the element followed by using the style method followed by the property name, which is equal to value in double quotes or single quotes. It's up to you. So this is how we manipulate the styles in JavaScript. So how can we insert an element in JavaScript? We can simply insert an element by using the create element method. So what exactly is? Let me just show you a quick example. Now let's simply select the UL. We can do this in this way. Document dot query selector. Let's simply say UL. Now let's check this out as well. So we have selected the UL. Now let's move on to next line and let's create a div tag. And we can simply do this in the way. Document dot create element, and within the quotes we have to specify the element which we want to create. So we have created a div tag. Let's check this out as well. So as you can see here, we just created a div tag. Now let's simply use the method inner HTML in order to add the text to the div tag. Div dot inner HTML, and let's specify or give some text. Let's say hello, I'm a new tag. Oops. Instead of using single quotes, let's use the double quotes. Now all we have to do is select the parent node and we have to insert the particular tag, and we can do this in this way. We have to select this as a target, and we have to use the method parent node in order to select the parent node, followed by the insert before method. Now let's simply specify the tag which we want, followed by the element which we are targeting. In this case, it's UL. So as you can see here, we just got the output where the paragraph is placed before the unordered list. So in this case, the target is nothing but the unordered list, and the tag is nothing but the div tag. So this is how we actually add an element to the DOM. Now you might ask, how can we remove an element? We can simply use the remove method in order to remove an element in JavaScript, and we can do this in this way. Let's simply remove the paragraph which we have created now. All we have to do is div dot remove, and let's simply use the method remove method. Boom. So the paragraph just gone from the document. So this is how we add and remove the element on the website using JavaScript. So these are the few things which you need to remember, and you have to play with it in order to get comfortable with JavaScript. So we can simply select the element by using the get element ID, get element by class name, and get element by tag name. And when it comes to node, there are parent node and children node, which you need to remember. And we can simply play with the parent node, next element sibling, and previous element sibling in order to select the particular node. And in order to manipulate the styles, we can simply select the element, and we have to use the style method followed by the property name, which is equal to the value which you want in the double quotes. So how can we add an element? We can simply add an element by selecting a target element where the element should be placed, and we have to simply use the create element method in order to create a tag, and we have to use the inner HTML in order to add a text to the particular element. And all we have to do is select the parent node and insert it before the target element. In this case, UL is the target element and the div is the element which we want to appear on the website. And when it comes to removing, it's just as simple. All we have to do is simply use the remove method in order